So that was how the Christmas play ended up. Laurel was Santa Claus's helper out with the reindeer and brought in my whiskers. Whiskers all chewed up, Blitz and chew 'em up, he said. Oh gosh, well anyway, we got through it all and everybody went home happy. I hope. So that was the Christmas play. I've never forgotten it, but it's written down in partly in my big autobiography book. Oh gosh, we had in the spring, we had a Easter egg hunt. We dyed Easter eggs. And Mother made us stay in the house and not peek through the windows while they went out. 3 or 4 women went out and hid those eggs all over our section, schoolroom, under the sagebrush, and I found 2 or 3 up on top of a fallen log that went up to its stump. There was a couple there in the stump that were hidden. That's Mother at the end. If you can see her. You can't hear her.
Right here.
Okay. That's my mother. Pretty, Mom. Can you see her in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I remember her.
You've seen her then.
Yeah. She used to come to your house pretty like whatever the season was. She came every year. My recollection and stayed a while.
Oh yeah, she'd come down and visit. And
Did she live in near Omak still at that time?
we stayed 1 year up there at the Malat because it was. Mama was just isolated, completely isolated from grown-ups. And she was a very intelligent woman, and she liked to talk with other people.
Yeah.
And there was no way we could get in touch with the other people, except when they came for occasions like the Christmas pageant and so on. So we just stayed 1 year, and we had our puppy Ring, who turned into a good watchdog and bit every man that came near. He didn't attack the women, but he was sure a savage when it came to the men. Yes, he didn't want men around our house because all he had were women folk. He was going to protect his women folk. So we had him for 5th grade, and I think it was 6th grade after he tore the pants of the delivery boy. He ripped him from the waistband down to these cuffs. And he didn't do him any damage, but he sure tore the hole in those pants right straight down. So we had to buy him a new pair of pants, which cost about $2. Yeah, slacks, $2. And Grandma pinned him together so he could go on the rest of his delivery trips. And Mama found a good home for Ring. He was a good watchdog for that man that had him, because we came back the next year and went to visit him, and he remembered us.
Wow.
I whistled at him, and Laurel yelled at him, and he came running. He knew us just by our voices. So that was the end of when we had Ring, and of course we didn't take the cat with us. He was a feral cat, so he was used to getting his living off the territory, and we just went off and left him because he was doing all right on his own. He was a wild animal almost. So that was our year in, between Omak and Okanagan. Oh, the only thing I didn't mention was the dam went out in the spring. So much water gets behind it. And it was an old dam, and it had cracks in it. So the man that looked after it called down to the village and said, get everybody out of there, get them up to the schoolhouse on the slope where they'll be safe, and because the dam's going to go.
Wow.
And sure enough, that day it did. Friday or Saturday, because we went down Saturday to see what we walked down all the miles down that hill. It was like going down a mountain. But it had just wiped the whole town out, all the old houses.
Wow.
And one man had just built a new chicken house and put 400 chickens in it. And it took the chicken house with it and left the old one. And our mother's friend that she was very fond of, her whole house went down the river, the Okanagan River, and ended up somewhat slanted on a mud bank. And upstairs was the cat still asleep on the bed. And the statues were still on the fireplace wall, or chimney, next to the chimney.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
they
so
hadn't
bad.
been moved, so it had a very steady trip down the river. Oh my, but that was a real year.
What happened to all the food you had in the?
Oh, we ate it up over the winter. It lasted all winter into spring, and there wasn't much left of it by then. Mama had done.
Oh, by then it was all gone.
Mostly, yes.
Okay.
If we had any left, we packed it up and took it with us when we moved, because her next, we went to Wenatchee. I was in Wenatchee. No, that was 4th grade. 5th grade, we were in Medina. And we had Ring with us, but we didn't have a cat. But that was where we got our first radio, and we heard all the kid programs and the Lone Ranger, and it was just wonderful having a radio and tuned to the outside. And Mother decided then and there she'd never take another teaching position unless she had a radio with her. And we bought our first Sears radio the next year when we went over to Moses Cooley. Anyway, it was just a wonderful year there at Medina. Mama would go into Issy Yulin candy store every once in a while because Issy played golf, and Harder Yulin was busy doing other things. He was one of the foremost candy makers in the country, and he made all the chocolates for Frederick and Nelson's, and their taffy candy, and everything you could cook in a pot he made. He had 2 great big tables of marble, and they were cooled by water underneath. And he'd cook up a mess of whatever, fudge maybe, and after it was cooked, he'd dip his fingers in it and put them in cold water, and it didn't burn him. He told me never to do that because you have to be an expert. And then he'd pour it out on the table, and it would get cool enough, and then he'd start turning the edges in with a big paddle, and kept doing that and doing that and doing that until he had the fudge all properly hardened. And then he'd cut it in pieces. I used to watch him throw taffy. He had a great big hook on the next to the door, and he'd open the door if it was summer, and he'd take this massive white, pink, I don't remember what color it was, but it wasn't white, and he'd throw that over that hook, and time after time he'd go over and over and pull that candy. And I don't know, half an hour maybe or so, he'd pull that till it hardened, got to the hardened stage where he could cut it. And then he'd lay it on the table and whack it up in small pieces, and his wife would wrap them in wax paper. Are you getting tired of listening to me?
How did Ring get his name?
Because he had a white collar around his neck.
Okay.
He was part collie. And he sure had nice long sharp teeth.
There's 2 kids.
Any other questions? I've gone through the 5th grade.
So the dam that broke. What was the name of the dam?
I don't know the name of the dam. It was just a creek dam, but the creek got so full that it just couldn't take any more water behind it.
Did it rain a lot?
In the spring, there were spring rains, yes, but how much water, I don't know how much water rained. I wasn't interested in the inches back then, but that's what happened. So, where was I? Fifth grade? Fifth grade we spent in Medina, and we had a 2-room school there, and 2 teachers, and it was nice getting back to more than one person in your class. So I can remember how new I felt when I went into a different school without my mother being my teacher. And we got, we had a nice 5th grade. And like I say, Mother had to go over to Issy Hewlin's every once in a while to work in the candy store and dish ice cream, because they went off for the weekend. And she'd go over maybe Saturday and Sunday both, and earn a little extra money. That year we were on, what do you call it? Child support from the state. Mother was getting money from the state for us because she didn't have a job, and that was in the middle of the Depression area, the 1930s. So we made do. Mama got paid in cash, and I know she didn't sign any checks, but
she was teaching, right?
no, she wasn't doing a thing. She couldn't get a job that year.
Oh.
That was why she was on welfare for a year. And then we got a job, she got a job, 6th grade, out Moses Coulee, out of 20 miles out of Wenatchee. And we spent the next 3 years up there. And I was going into the horrible adolescent years where your brain gets altered. I don't know if you heard about it or not, but in those years between 13 and 18, you lose some of your brain cells and get other ones get more important. If you've been listening to the news, that's what happens. So that's why teenagers act up so to their parents, are complete bombast when it comes to, I want this or I want that, and act up so, and go with their girlfriends, and they don't tell their parents what they're doing or how they're doing in school, and everything's kept secret.
Sounds familiar? Been there, through that.
You probably know some girls that act like that. Anyway, by the time you get to be 19, you're supposedly out of that stage.
Did you just come out?
I think
She turned 19
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay,
It was
well,
about time.
that area is where most boys especially like to experiment with smoking and drugs, and girls too nowadays. But back then, of course, if you smoked and you were a girl, your name was Mud with the rest of the students at school. So you didn't do it in public. But the boys couldn't smoke at school either unless they went out behind the ballpark. So that was fifth grade, 6th grade. My sister and I were the only females in the school. We had one grade younger boy and one grade, he was in my grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and we spent 3 years up there. So the next year, Mama had a job in town. She still didn't get it. She did have a teaching job for 1 year because a teacher was having a baby, I think. So that when I was in 9th grade, I was in the junior high in Wenatchee. We moved in there and we found a dinky little house to rent for $19 a month. it had a living room and a kitchen and Mama's bedroom, in that order. But anyway,
Very much like a Japanese house apartment.
I'm sure theirs much bigger than what we have.
well, we had a hide a folding couch. Laurel and I had to put down every night and make up in the morning. But we slept there. No, Laurel slept with Mother. I had the couch pretty much to myself. Mother said I always kicked. I was restless at night, I guess. But anyway, that was 6th, 7th, and 8th grades out in the coulee. And then 9th grade was in Wenatchee, 9th and 10th grade both. And then we were into war work because the war was going on. And I remember we made little place cards for the soldiers to go on their trays for the ones that were in the hospital. And we made other little things for them too during our social activities period.
Which hospital was that?
I don't think any of them were in the Deaconess Hospital. That was the one in Wenatchee, but they had must have had a special hospital for the ones. And they had an Air Corps airfield on the way up above Wenatchee across the river someplace. I never went to it. I never saw it, but I saw some of the soldiers in town walking on the street. 9th grade, 10th grade, I joined the church that year, and I went to the talks with the pastor where you have to learn about the church history and all that. And the day I was made a member, I remember I was mad at Laurel because she walked up the aisle right behind me and she hadn't been to the induction classes at all.
I see.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything to her, but she shouldn't have done that.
I know. When did you go to Olympia High School?
9th, 10th, 11th grade.
11th grade.
Mama got a job in Tenino, and I was in junior class. And it was too small. I felt like I was going to explode the walls, some of my teenager activities. So Mama said, well, if I can get you a place to live in Olympia, you may go to Olympia High School. And that was fine. So I got a place out on Wards Lake with a young couple that had 3 kids, and that was just fine with me. They were intelligent, and it was very, very nice to live with a family. I couldn't go out every night that there were school activities, but I had to pick. I could go out Friday night or Saturday night, for instance, and I could always go to church on Sunday. And I just had a good year that year. And that was, then Mama came along and took me to college right after graduation.
So how was that between you and your mom talking about going and rooming at someone else's home? I don't understand how a family would agree on that.
Well, the family that wanted someone to help.
I see. No, I mean you and your mom. And your.
Oh.
How would your family be able to let you go like that?
Oh, well, because Laurel and I did not get along.
Ah, I see.
We were all 3 dominant people. And you can't have more than one dominant person in the family, or the family separates. And that's what Laurel and I both did. I got married before my 20th birthday, and Laurel got married shortly after that. So, by the time she was about 20. Anyway, and Mother was perfectly happy to have one of us out of the house, so we wouldn't always be arguing. Did I ever tell you one of the nasty things she did, Laurel did?
I don't know. Let's hear it.
Oh, we were both married, and but I had no children, neither did she, and we were up at Mother's visiting her. We'd come from our different homes, she was living in Kirkland and I was living in Olympia. So, I wanted to wash my hair, so I picked up her bottle, Laurel's bottle of Halo shampoo, which was half empty, and headed to the bathroom. She said, "You can't take that, that's mine." And she yelled at me and said, "Put it down, drop it, in a very loud voice, louder than I'd never heard her use that voice before. And a little bug hit me in the head. I thought, I'll just do what she wants. So I dropped it right on the concrete floor, and it was in a glass bottle, and it broke and smashed all over. And she came at me like this as if she were going to hit me. So Mother came in onto the scene just then. She'd been around the corner of the living room, and she made Laurel stop whatever she was doing and get herself pulled together. And she'd never heard her talk like that either, I don't think. And so I went ahead and I couldn't wash my hair then, so we were on our way into town to spend my first check from Don, who was overseas. And I had a $300 and something check in my purse. Well, we spent it. I bought a suit and a coat for $200 and the suit for the $120, I think it was. And it was a very nice black wool, very fine material. And by then Laurel was pretty well calmed down. Mother must have talked to her. And that was when I got that beautiful coat. It buttoned up at the throat, and it was draped just gorgeously. It came down. The top panels then were full skirts. I don't know if you remember, but full skirts and big designs on them. But you'll have to look up fashions in your telephone and see what they were. But those were very stylish. That coat was just beautiful. It lasted me for more than 10 years.
That was what was that, the early 50s, or when was that?
That was early 50s, yes, because neither of us had any kids. So it was the late 40s, 49 or thereabouts.
So Steve is your oldest, right?
Yeah.
So Steve, when was Steve born? What year was Steve born in?
Oh, 53.
Okay, so he's younger than Diane and Denise. So he's about Jim's age then, right?
Yeah, he and Jim are pairs.
Okay.
But $300 on clothes, coat, and suit.
That's a lot of
That's
money.
a lot of money.
Oh,
wasn't
and
it?
that coat was fabulous. It was artificial. What they had done, they'd taken fabric and made it like sheep's wool, and it had all the fabric, and it didn't come out. It stayed, but it was the nicest coat I'd ever had. I must admit that. Lasted the longest.
It sounds like it, and it sounds like you lived a very rugged life when growing up, more so than my upbringing. I know that my upbringing, I felt that was very rugged and...
Well, you had a dad that didn't fit your family too.
Yeah.
I didn't have a dad after second grade.
I've heard none of these stories, by the way. This is the first time. Yeah.
Well, most of them are in my autobiography book. But anyway, we had a very good. I considered my life as an adventure after I got over being afraid of things. And, I enjoyed writing, and when I finished teaching, I took this course down at the Senior Center for writers who wanted to write autobiography stories, and that just filled my alley. And then I'd sit down and type them on my typewriter, because I couldn't get along without a typewriter. Mother said, when you're in Tenino, I want you to take typing because you're going to need it. And sure enough, excuse me, I have a drippy nose. Anyway, the rest of that after high school was college.
Wow.
I got married in my junior year of college. So he was down here working for the highway department and I was up there at school. So I was always eager to get home on the weekends
How did you come home?
on the bus.
On the bus?
Yeah, in Bellingham, everything's built on a hill and you can go downhill very fast, but when you go uphill, you're working.
Yeah.
But it was fun and I enjoyed it.
What was your room number in Bellingham when you were at college?
I don't remember the room number, but I was on the first floor.
Okay.
And it was, you came in the front door and the building was split into that kind of shape. And there was a bathroom on each side, on each floor, that had 3 toilets and a shower and a bathtub. I can't remember now, 2 showers and 1 bathtub, or 2 bathtubs and 1 shower, but at any rate, you had your choice. But we'd have to, if we wanted to get ready for a dance or something, we'd be traipsing down the hall in our bathrobes and our hair all wound up with a cap on it, and to take our showers and our baths, and sometimes late at night, if we had to make a trip down the hall, so we'd run into the night watchman who was on his rounds with his lantern and his flashlight and sometimes his dog. And but that was just happenstance. Anyway, you didn't go out of your room without your bathrobe on. Well, anyway, what next?